Hello and welcome to this edition of the Boob Tube Buddies podcast featuring our discussion of Netflix's Black Mirror, episode 2 of season 2 entitled White Bear. I'm your host, Foxman, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host and my wife, Bethany. What's going on, Bethany?
Black Mirror, you get caught up in it. Black Mirror.
Black Mirror! For those of you joining us for the first time, that's Bethany's little bit that she likes to do at the beginning of every show, her fancy little bit. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Reddit, or our website at www.boobtubebuddies.com. To get in on the conversation, we will make sure that all your thoughts, theories, everything like that makes it on air. If you've been paying attention to this, our series covering Black Mirror, you know that we'll probably interview you for it too. We like hearing from you guys, so don't hesitate to reach out. You got any little things
We like hearing from you. Please write into us.
Yeah, last episode, your weird robotic responses. I think that you were just weren't ready for me to start throwing stuff to you last time, and it's just yeah, that sounds good. This episode we have two special guests on some pre-recorded bits. If you listen to the first season and episode 1 of season 2, Be Right Back, you'll know that we have Michael on for a segment called Preach or Don't Preach, where he kind of just breaks down the message of each show, because they're all sort of like an Aesop's fable, you know, it's got some moral to the story, so he kind of just...
He's smart.
Okay.
What's going on over there in your throat?
Yeah, I don't know.
There's all sorts of weird sounds coming
belching
out.
And I'm hoping that none of them are getting picked up because that would be sweet. I also sat down with Atlas from the Black Mirror subreddit. Pretty cool name, by the way.
Very cool name.
Very cool name.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Could you imagine if we named our kid Atlas Foxman?
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Sweetest fucking
Superhero.
name. Well, baby number 3.
Yeah, exactly. And so this episode is 42 minutes long, which is on the lower end. But honestly, the twist was so heavy in this one, I don't think that they needed it to be much longer. Before we dive into the episode, we do have one segment that we like to do. It's called Summon It Up in a Tweet, and basically... the premise is that using 144 characters or less, we kind of break down just a real general summation of the episode. So, without further ado, here is Summon It Up in a Tweet.
Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up. Summon it up, oh yeah, we're summon it up. Oh yeah, we're summon it up, so summon it up. Summon it up and up.
Tweet.
Alright, so Bethany, why don't you start things off for us?
Summon it up in a tweet is something you created. It's not a thing that's on the internet.
I have no idea why it took you so many episodes to understand that. Because it's you kept saying to me, that's not impressive. I could do that. And I thought, well, fuck you. I mean, I'm not saying it's impressive. I'm just doing it.
I would have been such a bitch about it if I knew. Okay, so this will be the last week I do it because this is your thing, and I didn't know it was your thing, so I was trying to prove a point. I'm just as smart as...
Anything you can do, I can do better.
No, and I have proven that I can't do it better, but okay, so here we go. She wakes up, knows nada. People film or hunt. She's scared. Finds help, gets to White Bear. Surprise! Punishment for kid torture. White memories, repeat.
Yours actually starts and finishes the same way as mine, but is way more detailed. Mine's just fucking stupid. Okay, so here is mine. Girl wakes up and gets chased by violent goons. What the fuck is happening? Oh, shit. She's some Casey Anthony type bitch. Rinse and repeat.
Rinse and repeat?
And that is Summon It Up in a Tweet. Okay, very good. So let's dive into the episode, man. You ready to do this?
Can I just tell you I had rinse and repeat, and then I'm like, rinse and repeat. He's gonna go, what? Rinse? That doesn't make sense. That's so funny.
Well, of course rinse and repeat makes sense. That's what they're doing.
I know.
Yeah.
Soulmates.
Okay. All right. So yes, it does start with this poor young lady waking up very disoriented, and she's just got a crazy headache, looking disheveled, and it's very confusing when things... Actually, honestly, it's very confusing until the twist happens.
Mm-hmm. And I like that you said poor young lady, because that's one of the issues I have with this episode at the end is, well, we'll get there. Sorry. Jumping ahead.
I mean,
What's going on here?
I don't know. But I mean, you're welcome to jump ahead. It's not like anybody, by the way, if you guys, I'm so sorry if we made it this far into the episode and you didn't realize that we're spoiling everything. Stop listening if you have not seen the episode or want to watch it. But yeah, no, just jump ahead. What were you going to say? What about the girl?
This is not one of my favorite episodes. It's probably like middle towards end. You know, I wouldn't say I like it. It's just probably one of my least favorite ones.
Yeah, it would be like at the top of my bottom third.
That's perfect way to sum it up. I just don't love that this episode forces you to feel sorry for her. I don't want to feel sorry for her. She's not a good person. But you do, as a human, you feel sorry for her. And I don't know. I kind of have a problem with it. It kind of makes me roll my eyes a little bit.
It's very similar to the Shut Up and Dance episode, the one where the kid was looking at the child pornography sort of thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of, and she's worse.
Same.
She's way worse. No, but it's the same situation that you follow the protagonist around the whole time without knowing what a shithole they are.
I read a little something about this episode, and I would like to apologize. I kept calling him Booker in previous episodes. It's Brooker, so I'm sure that was driving people crazy. His
Booker
name is Brooker. But that this episode was particularly trying. Like, this ending was not what he had written. It was so many rewrites with this episode. Like, he really struggled with it. And I think it kind of shows. It's not one of the stronger episodes. It's not dialogue heavy like the other ones are.
I was looking at the ratings on IMDb, which, you know, is very much like user generated, and it was about middle of the road, just slightly under the median score.
Oh, well then we're right on the mark here.
Yeah, so I didn't know that. I hadn't read any of that background stuff, but yeah, so she wakes up and we see the puzzle piece thing that is really like kind of like the... What? You look confused. I'm just, what was that? It's the tattoo that was on the back of her fiance's neck.
That's right, okay.
And so they're just throwing, like the white bear thing, they're just throwing in these little bits, you know? You kind of fucking love the word bits. You love the word bits. And you see, and it makes a lot more sense later, the calendar on the wall with X's on it. So it's on like day 17 or 18, I think.
You think that people will probably stop showing up for the reveal after a couple months?
I wonder how long this goes for. I would imagine that it's just a calendar month.
That's it? And then what happens to her?
I don't know. Or maybe it keeps going, but they're not bathing her at the end of these days. And and you know what? Actually, Atlas is the one who brings this up to me because I recorded this before we record my thing with him before we did ours. Okay. So I'm going to let him talk about that because
you know that's a thing of mine too. Oh, that I can't stop talking about during shows.
Definitely. Stinky genitals on Game of Thrones, stinky genitals on Westworld, stinky genitals on Walking Dead. Yes. So anyway, she sees the picture of the little girl, go outside, and then it's just this this myriad of shit happening. There's people recording her. There are, like I said, the goons chasing her.
Well, that guy comes out in the balaclava with the symbol on it and a shotgun. And that's the first, like, oh shit moment.
Which later you see in the credits, that is actually played by the main guy. The one who is the same one who ends up pulling up and picking her up in the van
MC?
Later. Yeah, the MC, I guess.
Okay.
He seems like he's the dude running the Camp White Bear or whatever it is.
It's inaugural year.
Yeah. This one is a tough one to break down without getting super recappy because we know that this exact scenario plays out day after day after day.
Yes.
And it's such a frantic episode. Like you said, not very dialogue heavy. It's just like...
Good acting.
It is. Oh, it's very much carried by the acting of the main girl, first off, and honestly, the secondary girl, too, especially in retrospect, because when you watch it the first time, she doesn't seem like that good of an actress until you've seen it a second time, and you realize there's, like...
The girl that plays the... Gem is her name?
Yes.
Okay.
So, like, for example, when when the main girl throws the brick...
Victoria.
Yeah, when Victoria throws the brick at the onlooker who's recording, and the guy's like, ow, and running off, Jem's reaction right there like, that is one of the most genuine reactions that she has, and the way that it's portrayed when you know the story behind it, that like she kind of has this duty to protect the onlookers.
Yeah, the audience. Yeah.
It just gives it an extra little. Honestly, this episode was more fun to me on a second watch than it was on the first one, because the first one's so goddamn stressful.
Once you know, yeah.
And of course, the reveal the first time is great. I mean, it's really good.
I mean, totally taken aback. They make you believe that the pictures, that these flashbacks or memories that she's having, these little tidbits.
Why do you call it a titbit? You know that it's tid.
You think that little girl, whose name is Jemima, is her daughter. And so you're like, oh God, what has happened? You know, this is her daughter. The creepy looking white dude must be her husband. Something bad has happened. Zombie-esque. Or, you know what I mean?
Definitely. But you don't know the whole time that it's just like she's done something bad, so this is just a tid for a tat. Yeah, not bad.
I like it.
Okay. So I know I'm jumping around here a little bit, but I felt bad the first time, especially watching it, when they go into the gas station and Jem and her little buddy go in there, and she basically makes her buddy act as like a human meat shield.
The guy?
Like, you caused this distraction while the two of us got, and he's like, I'm too scared, I can't do it. And she's like, you've got to do it. And he's like, I'm going to die. And she's like, okay.
And he dies.
Yeah.
Well, he then dies.
And it's funny in the credits, that scene, because he gets up and then the guy, even like the guy who killed him, quote unquote, is standing above him, and like everybody's like cheers for him a little bit and clapping and smiling, snapping photos.
The best part of this episode is the credits. The
credits really illuminate everything that you saw just in a totally different light.
Yeah, it's very, very funny.
I agree, and cheeky. I think that was the best way to have done it too, was throughout the credits. Mm-hmm. I think that was a fun way to splice that in.
So after that happens and you see some of these people, these hunters, they're wearing masks and they have funny kitchen tools, and you get a very purgy vibe.
Of course.
But had I watched this when it came out, I might not have had a purgy vibe, because this came out February 2013. The first Purge movie came out June 2013. Oh,
so okay.
It didn't steal anything from the Purge.
That's
for whatever reason this year, I guess that's what was honed in on as scary to the consumer, was masks and meat saws.
Meat saws.
I don't know what she was on.
Well, especially because the pair of hunters are very Purge-esque. The main guy, I mean, yeah, I guess so. He's wearing a mask, but he's not like, because the Purge, it's all the wacky shit, and the girls in like their slutty Halloween costume type stuff, and the guys in like their steampunk weird things. But like the main guy in this one, the main hunter, who we know is the MC, that
he was a little Walking Dead-y to me.
Yeah,
like
I guess
back
so.
to basics.
Get
him up on a crucifix in the woods.
Get him up on a crucifix in the woods?
Yeah.
Oh, like the other people in the episode?
Yeah.
I thought that part was interesting too, how they all had to climb up there on the ladders. Like, this is in the credits again, because that's basically the next scene that it gets to, is the guy picks them up, they go into the woods, and then
how terrifying!
Oh yeah,
it's so yucky and rapey.
It is, I know, very rapey. And when he comes back around the truck with the rifle or the shotgun now pointed at them, you're like, oh shit, he's in on it.
Yes.
And then they go down to the woods, and you're right, and especially because you see the quote-unquote dead bodies all crucified up on the trees, and his little, I don't know, like, there's like platforms and like, just like little torture devices and shit like that.
Yes, and I just wanted his shirt to ride up above his belly button, and for him to take his pointer finger and swirl it in his belly button.
Ew, what the fuck?
You know how guys do that? Like country guys who are about to kill people?
French fried and taters.
They lick their finger and they swirl it in their belly button.
Ew, nobody does that.
That's a thing. That's a thing from horror movies where they do that. Or when they're looking at a pretty girl they're about to sexually assault, their shirts are always too tight on their beer belly. They lick their finger in their belly button and go, mmm.
That you're fucking lying.
That's a thing.
No, it's not.
Look it up.
I will have to look it up.
You should.
If it's not a thing, it should be a thing, because that is fucking crazy. I've never seen anything like that. in my entire life.
You can picture it, right? Like, and then rubbing the belly, looking at the girls, the plaid, the flannel shirt, like busting at the buttons, rubbing the belly button.
I guess so.
The dirty jeans.
You know what? I'm so sorry, Atlas, but this is the lead-in that you're gonna get. So
I'm sure they're very stinky as well.
Who, Atlas?
No, the guys.
Yeah, you know what? You've said enough. Atlas, again, very sorry, folks. Give a big round of applause to poor stinky Atlas. All right, we'll see you guys in just a bit.
Player 3 has entered the game.
All right, Foxman here, and I am joined by Atlas, whom I met through the Black Mirror subreddit, and we're going to talk a little bit about White Bear, which is the second episode of the second season. So, Atlas, how you doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good. How you doing?
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining me. I asked you ahead of time if you had ever recorded a podcast, if you even really listened to podcasts, and the answer is no. So you're just an adventurer out there in the digital world, just kind of getting shit done.
Yeah, I decided to, hey, try something new and get to talk about something that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so speaking of which, have you seen the entire series of Black Mirror?
Yeah, I pretty much watched everything within like 3 days.
Okay, are you a big TV watcher in general?
No.
Okay, so this is like a special thing for you. Like you don't, for example, do you watch like any of the HBO shows or any of that stuff?
No, most of the things that I do watch end up coming from Netflix. I don't even have cable or anything.
Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so, well then, this is perfect. So this is your area of expertise. You're like a specialist. So, you've watched the entire thing. What are some of your favorite episodes of Black Mirror?
I gotta say, White Christmas really hit home for a little bit because it posed a ton of different crazy questions while bringing in different... Like, the technology that was used in White Christmas came from other episodes that were earlier in it, and it just... I don't know, it hit home because it was so kind of crazy to, at the end there, I don't know if you do spoilers, but where everything is just...
Oh, yeah, no, you can talk about anything freely.
So at the end, when everything is just black for that guy and everyone is just fuzzy and nothing for the rest of your life.
And he's red to everybody else.
That's insanity.
Yeah, that was fucked up. Oh, my God. And then that one guy who's basically going to sit in stasis, like, in that house for... I guess, like, somebody averaged it out. It was like 1 million years or something like that, that guy has to sit there.
Yep.
Dude, he is going to be stark raving mad at the end of that. Oh, shit. Okay, so, all right, so that's one of your favorites. What is, like, one of the ones that just isn't quite up to the level that the other ones are at for you?
I gotta say, the Waldo one really wasn't doing it for me. It was just...
There's no real twist, really, at the end either. It's just kind of like... a nice, fun, entertaining, self-contained story, and then when you're done with it, you're done with it. Whereas the other ones, like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I'd finish an episode and I'm like, God, I gotta watch, like, an episode of Family Guy or Seinfeld, or it's just something to, like, lighten the mood up. Like, I just, like, because you just think about it, like, it gets the wheels spinning.
Yep. Or if you're like me and you just binge watch because you just hate yourself or something.
So, speaking of like getting the wheels spinning, this episode, White Bear, has maybe one of the sharpest twists of any of the Black Mirror episodes. Did you see it coming at all before the like on-screen realization that she's actually kind of the bad guy here?
Absolutely not. And it was amazing because I'm just sitting here trying to watch this thing and then I'm just like, what?
What the fuck is happening? Like, yeah, it's so weird. Did you feel bad for her at that point? Because I know that's like, you do feel conflicted watching it. Because she's been the protagonist the whole time.
Yeah, instantaneously you're like, oh, this is fucked up, and how could they? And then you're like, oh, well, she's a terrible person. But like, then you realize that they've been doing this for 18 days straight. And then they're doing it for fun and inviting children, and then you just start to really think about how messed up the society is, and if people are willing to just kind of bring children to watch someone suffer indefinitely, why is what she did that bad if they're literally just causing suffering for such an extended amount of time?
I mean, it really seems kind of like the movie Gladiator type thing, like just people watching humans suffering for fun. Although, I mean, in Gladiator, it's a little less complicated when you're watching it because he hasn't really done anything wrong in that one. Whereas she, the whole time you feel so bad for her, and even at the end you feel kind of bad for her. But the fucked up and horrible things that she has been a part of, I don't know. Do you think that there is like a definitive moral to this episode? Because a lot of episodes really do have like this, Aesop's fables, like very clear-cut moral. What was your takeaway on that?
See, the problem that you're seeing here is that when you think about like what happened, okay, so murder is bad, obviously. Killing children is very bad, obviously. But she doesn't even remember any of it. So what moral is there? You're literally just torturing somebody for inherently no reason that is never... She can't even remember the day before, let alone remember what happened or why.
Yeah, so it's punitive without there being even like the remotest sense of like a rehabilitation sort of thing, or even allowing her to sit and think with it. The only time she's actually feeling like the guilt associated with the action of what she did is at the very end of each day, and even that is probably coupled with extreme confusion over what's been happening.
Yep. I really love the pacing that they did for the whole thing, and you are correct. Like, if they had been in reverse, if we saw, them setting up this thing, putting her through it, it would just be about watching someone get tortured for 45 minutes. And then you're just kind of bored.
Porn.
Yeah, that's it. And then you're like, oh, okay, and then that's the whole episode? Oh, that's kind of boring. But with how it's written, it's just amazing.
Yeah, it was a great twist. All right, well, before we go, is there anything additional that you want to mention about the episode or the series in general?
Just like weird things you don't often think about, like, is anybody bathing this person? Like, who takes care of her? She's just...
Oh, gosh, she must reek.
Just absolutely horrendously disgusting. And then the actors that have to be next to her, because they have to, like, make sure she doesn't get hurt or hurt other people. She's got...
Yeah, they're, like, in a van with her.
Right?
Oh, my God. Yeah, I did not
shit.
think about that. She must be absolutely horrible smelling.
18 days of running and being terrified and getting the shit scared out of you.
Oh man, that is funny. You know what? That is a really good note to go out on. So thank you, Atlas, for coming on and for reminding me how terrible she must smell after this episode. That was just... I honestly never would have thought about that, and kudos to you for bringing that to light.
Well, thanks for having me, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the episode.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, man. You have a great night.
You too. Take care.
Player 3 has left the game.
Who is it? You have to let me in. There are monsters on the streets. Flesh-eating monsters. What? Are you crazy? Go away. No, please. You can't leave me out here. I will die. They will eat me alive. Oh, shucks. Look, I can't let you in. I have a family to protect, but I can make it better. Really? How? How could you possibly make this better? With a coupon, of course. Go to audibletrial.com/Boob Tube Buddies and you can get a free book. A book like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. What the fuck is an audiobook going to do for me? You don't know The Secret? The Secret has been passed down through the ages, highly coveted, hidden, lost, stolen and bought again for vast sums of money. It's been handed down by oral tradition and practiced by Plato, Galileo, Beethoven, and even Einstein. It gives you the power to do anything that you want. You've got to be kidding me. No, not at all. The Secret shows you how to realize your optimized reality. It's why I'm in a warm, cozy house with a loving family, eating filet mignon, and you're outside running from flesh-eating beasts. And it's only a 4.5-hour listen, and then you'll be good to go. Good luck! But I don't even have headphones! Oh God, they're coming!
Okay, and we're back. Thank you again to Atlas. It was awesome having him on. Everybody from the Black Mirror subreddit has been super supportive, and honestly has like really kind of helped make this podcast more collaborative. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it really is. It's super cool. So where we left off before going to him and then the Audible ad was in the woods.
They were in the woods. Basically, Jem breaks it down for Victoria. And
yeah, like what the backstory is.
yes, so they saw the symbol that we've already said was the tattoo on her fiance's neck.
Puzzle piece.
The puzzle piece. And it either turned people into, they were either affected by it, so they were obsessed with filming everything and became robots, or they weren't affected by it, and they chose to become, they could get away with anything.
Yeah.
And they became hunters.
And of course, if you heard that story, you'd be like, what the fuck? How widespread is, like, that's, I don't know. Like, don't know but at the same time, she doesn't really have time to sit down and, like, contemplate it, because even amidst all this, she's having all these weird flashbacks in between of the little girl in the back seat, and...
right, and then the flashbacks are coming...
Yeah, and obviously she has, like, tremendous headaches that are probably compounding over time, too.
Don't you think, though, if you weren't affected by it, if you saw the symbol, you weren't affected, you would catch on pretty quick and probably just follow people around with your phone in your hand, you know?
Oh, as opposed to being a hunter?
Well, of course, as opposed to being a hunter, but also as opposed to being, you know, the hunted. You know, you would, if you saw them out and about, you would immediately take your phone. I mean, I would. I wouldn't try and be
They're all
safe.
recording you, and you're just recording all of them.
Yeah.
Like, fuck you, I can do it too.
Well, no, I would want to blend in, so I'm looking for the person.
This is summing it up in a tweet all over again. Everybody has their phones, and they're trying to record you, and you're like, anything you can do, I can do better. Grab your phone out of your pocket and start recording everybody.
No, and if I saw someone
This is fucking easy. 144 characters.
If I saw someone running down the street screaming, I'd say, get out your fucking phone and pretend to film. You gotta pretend you're a lemming like the rest of us.
Yeah, but they've already been recording her. So is she gonna pull it out, start recording them, and then they're like, oh, okay, gotcha. One of us.
You just blend in. They don't have a consciousness anymore. You just want to blend in so that when the hunters are going by, they don't point you out as someone...
Okay, so maybe once you realize what's happening, you disappear a little bit, and then you come out of hiding, like, recording people.
Yes, you would. I think you catch on.
It's not like you'd be in the middle of, like, this crowd running and following you. You go into a Verizon store, and you come out and pretend like you're recording them back.
No, you're not trying to be like, you motherfuckers, I've got you. No, you're just trying to be one of them.
You look over and you're like, Tim, I know your mother. I'm showing her this shit.
Yeah, I would play along. I would not try to be anyone's hero.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, no, I mean, I see what you're saying. That makes sense. But again, things are happening really quickly. Like, she is not, and she's being propelled forward the whole time.
Oh, she doesn't know.
In her situation,
right.
It's
I'm
different.
just saying I wouldn't be Jem and the holograph kid. Holograph? God damn it. And running in my leather jacket trying to get away to
I get what you're saying. Okay, so after they leave the wooded place, you're right. That's when we get the backstory. They go to the television broadcast place, the White Bear Broadcasting.
Well, that's what Jem says. We have to get to White Bear because there's no transmitters there.
I thought because there were that's where it was transmitting from.
Okay, and they're going to break the transmitter.
I guess so. I don't know how well it was explained because I watched it twice and just thought, okay. You know, whatever, it's fine. You're along for the ride. Yeah. It's all good.
We're going to get there and there's safety or some sort of salvation at White Bear.
Sure, so they blast through the door, fucking Leroy Jenkins style, the gate outside, do the same thing on the door, get in, and Jem is fucking around with all the switches and stuff, and all of a sudden, in come the baddies.
And Victoria does say there's something about White Bear, those words. No, you know, like she says, we can't go there. There's something bad there. I know there's something bad there.
Yeah.
So she's having these little memories or flashbacks of...
You wonder if at some point, because of these flashbacks, if something could happen. Not necessarily that she'd escape, but perhaps, like, kill somebody or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, lash out, like, just all of a sudden one of these flashbacks, because I don't think that they're controlling what the flashbacks are exactly. So maybe like all of a sudden she gets a flashback of like Jem doing the stage bow after fucking her over, and then she just like turns over, like grabs something sharp and just fucking gouges her eye out or something.
Well, this is how I took this whole thing. That it's some sort of pilot project. That maybe she is the first to receive this sort of punishment.
I certainly think that is the case. Because it's named after her. Well, it's named after the white bear. And
everyone is so enthused and excited about this process and about her and about doing this to her. I mean, you can imagine how many criminals there are. You wouldn't be spending all this money on a huge production of punishing a criminal. It would be way more expensive. It would be easier just to keep them in jail. So it feels like, you know how sometimes judges give weird sentences?
Yeah, like where you have to wear like a sign over out at the street corner sort of thing.
Because she didn't even murder anyone. What she did was awful, but so for everyone to be this invested, the way I justified it in my head, like, oh, this is some sort of pilot program for a new way to punish criminals, and everyone is getting really excited about it.
Yeah.
And we don't know the repercussions of the wiping of the memories. And they built this whole park, and you're absolutely right. Down the line, that could and probably would happen. There would be some sort of
Westworld / Jurassic Park style.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what did you think the first time that the walls open up right there and there's just like the bright lights on her and then everybody's out there like clapping or cheering or booing or, you know?
So this show does a really great job. I immediately think of the audience as terrible villains.
Yes.
And I feel so
like
bad for her.
maybe rich people watching some girl get hunted.
Yes. Or... like, what's that movie? The old movie from the 80s or 90s.
Oh, yeah. Hunger Games. Go ahead.
But what Hunger Games is based on?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, Surf Ninjas.
Shut up. You know what I'm trying to say, and you can't think of it either. But exactly, a Hunger Games scenario. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, yeah. Something along those lines. But it's just the reveal is fucking awesome. Like, it's such a good reveal. And... so, what did you think about the part then where they have the procession back to her like origin point?
I thought medieval was the word.
Very medieval.
Yeah.
I mean, there was literally somebody in the crowd had a torch.
Yes.
Like there were torches.
They were throwing tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's just we all go back to our baser instincts, and there's something about parading someone who's done something really terrible and getting to just be awful to that person. That's satisfying.
Yeah, it's justice porn.
There's caveman instincts inside of us that is satisfying in some way.
Yeah.
And it just is.
I mean, because I don't know that I'd ever want to go to something like this.
I would never want to go to something like this, ever.
This is like a slightly more justified... No, this is a... slightly more justified version of like gladiator type shit in the Roman, in the Roman days. It's just
we get pleasure out of these things.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that most of it now is satiated through violent video games and TV and stuff. But
these violent delights. Is that where you were going?
No, it wasn't, but it wasn't bad. Okay, so. I think that actually this would be a good time to throw over to Michael for Preach or Don't Preach so that we could get... I mean, because I feel like at some point here we're going to start rambling, and what we really need is a really concise...
Never everything I say is worth listening to.
We're going to go to Preach or Don't Preach real quick, just so that we can get a nice little concise breakdown of the moral of the stories. So, we will be right back.
Preach or Don't Preach.
And now, here's Mike.
Hello, little buddies, and welcome once again to another episode of Preach or Don't Preach. I'm your host, Mike, desperately seeking a cool nickname like Foxman or Mothman, so if you have any ideas, go ahead and hit me up, right? I need a hook. Tonight we're going to be looking at episode 2 of Season 2 of Black Mirror. This one's called White Bear. Let me just say real quick, I was not the biggest fan of Season 2. None of the episodes were really... my favorites. White Bear especially, well, not as bad as the next one, but White Bear was probably not my favorite to watch. But I think what's being said in it might make it from from a philosophical, ethical, moral standpoint, it might be the most interesting episode in the entire season for me. And what it's doing here, it's asking the audience to examine their concept of justice. At least that's how I see it. And it does it in a really clever and interesting way. So it takes somebody who commits one of the worst atrocities we can imagine, the killing of a child. She's just the accomplice, I guess, but still, this ranks right up there in the top of the list of shitty things that human beings can do to other human beings, right? It's completely despicable. And what's clever about it, why it's such a good choice, is that when we do get to the thrust of the episode, to the hook of the episode, when we see the twist, it limits the amount of empathy we're able to have for this person who, up until that point, we've had at least a certain amount of empathy for, sympathy for this, for what she's having to go through, being chained up to a log, threatened to have a drill put through her head, chased around by a guy with a shotgun. So, up to the point when we find out that, oh, she did this and this is why they're doing it to her, we do feel for her. But in that moment, the show is asking us, okay, so we've done all this to her as a form of punishment, and then after the reveal happens, in my mind, there's no 2 cents about it. This is clearly torture, what's going on. So, and when it comes to torture, this is topical, of course, because it's been a discussion for years since 9/11, whether waterboarding is the hot phrase, whether that's something we should be participating in, whether it's an effective form of punishment or information withdrawal, whatever the case may be. The question here, though, is this kind of treatment of somebody justice if they've done something as horrible as participated in, or the killing of a child or some other atrocity? There's all sorts of things people can do that would probably qualify for this kind of torture. In particular, with this one, what makes it really unsavory, really disgusting, and kind of turned my stomach was the idea that they're doing it for ratings, for profit. Yes, there's a punishment aspect to it, but it's punishment with a purpose. And I think also another fascinating side of this episode is the fact that up until the reveal at the White Bear facility, she doesn't remember who she is or anything that she's done. So we have to ask, what's happening to her before the reveal? Is that even punishment? I mean, she's not the person who committed the crime at that point, right? So the first half of the episode, that's something we have to remember, is that without being able to remember who she is or what she did, she's being punished for something that she doesn't know. And literally all the things in her life that led her up to playing a role in the murder of that child are no longer factors. They're all gone. They're off the table. She can't remember them. So it really is an interesting episode to think about in this manner. There's also the crowds. The crowds are really creepy. They're bringing families to this thing. It's like a pleasant night out. And I don't know, this is just something that the show does once again. It's a recurring thing. Anytime you see groups of people in this show, whether it's national anthem or well, I think that's the only one we've gotten to so far, but anytime you see crowds gathered looking at screens or using screens en masse, this is the show being really, really direct. It's really hitting its objective on the nose in these scenes. Like, look at the role you play as a casual bystander to this thing. This kind of stuff happens because we eat it up, and it's that finger pointing aspect of the show on display again. That's all I got for you this week. Once again, as always, please, we'd love to hear back from you. Contact us any way you possibly can. Facebook, Twitter, the website, mail if you're into writing stuff. We'll take it all. And as always, the Unexamined Show is not worth watching, and we'll see y'all next week for Waldo. All right, peace out, little lady.
Preacher don't preach.
Okay, we're back. Thank you, Michael, as always, for Preacher Don't Preach. Let's tie up the episode here. So, We talked about them parading her through town, and now we kind of get her back at the apartment.
And they do give you some information about the actual trial and how she fell under the spell of her fiance.
Yeah, who killed himself before he could be brought to justice. He did it in the jail cell.
And he's the one that killed and tortured the girl while Jemima filmed it.
I think Jemima was the girl's name.
I'm sorry, while Victoria filmed it. Sorry.
I've never heard the name Jemima used other than the syrup.
It's a British name. You hear it a lot over there.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay, that was it. That was my point. All right, and so that's gonna do.
I do like how this episode highlights how we really do all pull out our phones when any sort of tragedy is happening. It's really sick.
Yeah, you're the worst at it. It's like there's fireworks going, and you do it, and
you know, there's somebody bleeding out on the road, and our first thought now is, grab our phone, film it.
No, I get Mariah Carey's New Year's Eve performance.
Well, that was a train wreck.
Topical.
Yeah, it's very topical. Very good. You don't even know what it was. I just said, "Did you watch it?" You're like,
No, you fell asleep on New Year's Eve. Well, actually, multiple times the next day when we were hanging out with our little buddies. But we were all sitting around watching coverage of it the next day, like on our phones.
All right, I stand corrected. I'm a real douche.
Yeah, you are. And I like this scene because they're setting everything up, and good God, the screams that actress lets loose when she is being zapped again are agonizing. Like, really well done. The way that she like screams and hits that upper decibel that most people could only really truly hit if they really are in shocking amounts of pain.
Range.
Basically, yeah. I thought, like, I don't know, that was like the Daniel Day-Lewis of screaming.
And it is cool. We already talked about it, but to see them reset the stage,
so cool, yeah.
And she says, she asks to be killed, and he says, "You always ask that."
Yeah.
It's so sad. But it's not sad. She did something terrible.
That's what fucks with you at the end of that, is you're like, you feel bad for her as you're watching it, and then by the end you're like, I still do, but I shouldn't. Like,
well, you know, I am obsessed with crime podcasts.
You do like your little crime podcasts.
And a lot of them, it will be somebody who was completely normal. I mean, the excuse of I fell under a spell, I mean, fuck that. It doesn't matter. You did something awful.
Yeah.
But so many of those podcasts will be a completely normal person who was a good person and for whatever reason does something just awful. Just awful. And it's hard to reconcile, like, well, where did that come from? And you get that because during the episode, she seems like a normal person. She was reacting like anyone would in that situation. She didn't seem like a bad person. She didn't seem like she wanted to hurt anyone. She just wanted safety. So that, too, it's like, where did that come from? Why would you do that?
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so overall, I think we talked about this. The episode for both of us is middle of the road. I mean, it's very interesting. It's a great 42 minutes of television. There's no doubt about that. But Black Mirror sets the bar pretty high, and there are definitely ones that I like more. Are there any points about this episode that you want to get across before we wrap up?
No, this isn't one that sticks out in my head. In fact, even after we took notes, I'm like, God, what was the one? What was it called? So this one isn't...
When I was setting up the interviews and I was looking at the names of the episodes and who had what, I was like, White Bear, what fucking episode is that? Like, there were a couple... Shut Up and Dance actually was that way too, but that's only because there's no dancing in it. So, like, a lot of them, it's like...
that one is very frustrating.
Yeah. To me, these two episodes, like, that one is the only one that is so similar to this one, Shut Up and Dance. Mm-hmm. And I put them at about the same regard.
Yeah, okay. I can agree with that.
Okay, let's wrap up. Again, thank you guys for joining. Please write in. We want to hear from you. We will shout you out on air. Just look up Boob Tube Buddies on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. I have a subreddit for it, so or on our website at www.boobtubebuddies.com. The best thing, honestly, though, that you can do is just tell a friend about the podcast. I mean, just tell one person about it. that also likes to listen to podcasts.
Tell a sexy gee with the best nips in town.
I mean, anybody who's listening to this episode is the first time is going to be like, what are these fucking jokes? That they're all callback jokes.
I don't know what's going on with me. I'm sorry.
Man, you are melting
Living
down.
in the glory days.
Yeah, exactly. You're like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
Take me back to 2016.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, without further ado, Bethany, why don't you tie a bow on this bitch?
See you later, little buddies.